Hi and welcome to this week's Project Warhammer, and the army is complete. Well, I say complete. I have 2,000 points of it. I still want another couple. There's a couple of units I want to swap out. I mean, it started like obviously very small, and the very first 2,000 point army I came up with is very different to what it now is. But you know, over time, there's still things where I thought, no, I'll change that out, put that back in. So there's still a couple of units I want to do, which are the Revenants, which I have assembled, but I need to be able to wait to be able to undercoat them. I have to undercoat them outside, and I need to wait for for it to be light for a start, so effectively the weekend. And also some Spirit Hosts. Now, what I've done, and I think I'll probably intend to do this like each month, is work out what models I'm going to get and paint for that month, and then order them at the end of the month, so it's the end of the month-ish. So that's what I've done. I've sent off for quite a few things. And basically last night I went to the local gaming club. I sort of wish now I'd gone earlier, because I was waiting to have the 2,000 point army so I'd be in a position to be, okay, can we play 2,000 points? Because for me, 2,000 points is where it's really at. 1,000 points is all right, and 1,500 points would be better. But 2,000 points is where it's at. Not just because, you know, if I want to be going to a grand tournament, that's what it's going to be. It just... If you've got a 1,000 point army, you've got a few units and a couple of characters. And you're just going to make the best of it. There's no real interaction between them. You're not... In a 2,000 point army, you can, as I do, I mean, I've got the army into 3 sections here, and they all work together. They support each other, they complement each other, and therefore each of those units becomes stronger than it would on its own, directly because of the support of the others. And I don't just mean because you'd have a couple of units crashing into an enemy as opposed to one. I mean because they help each other. So, for example, the Black Coach, as soon as it's level 1, which should be hopefully straight away, has the ability in each hero phase to raise up D3 slain Nighthaunt models. Bloody handy if you have multi-wound models, such as the Hex Race. The Knight of Shrouds on Steed there, he has a similar ability. Rykenor, the Grim Hailer, again, all of those, a very fast unit, so they can work in concert and attack a flank or attack a particularly weak area, and they're flexible enough to be able to change direction if necessary as well. What I've called Team Deep Strike over there, ones that are smaller groups of units, but ones that I'm hoping in concert would be able to mug an opponent. The Banshees in particular, I just really want to try out the Banshees, and I was working out some 1,000 point lists. Can't really get them in that. But for 1,500, they'll definitely be in. And 2,000, I'd really like to see how they work. The chain gas at the back, I'm probably not going to be putting those in a 2,000 point army. If it comes to it, they're there at the moment because I haven't done the Revenants yet. And what I also want to put in a Spirit House, just a unit of 3 Spirit Hosts. And then what I call Team Stay Put. Basically, they're the units that are intended to hold an objective, ideally. Of course, they're not useless, far from it. In fact, today, I was doing my usual stuff when I was working out what I consider the combat potency of various units. What I do is in Excel, I factor in what their hit chances, taking into account the possibility that they get to re-roll either misses or ones, or sometimes even if they roll a 6 to hit, it's a mortal wound. You know, chance to wound, a number of attacks they get. I assume that the opposing unit has a 4+ save, which of course is higher than it normally would be, but I'm also considering if they have to take on a character. So it's a bit of an average there. And or elite units indeed, like Stormcast Eternals. You know, and I sort of work out, okay, in a typical combat round, roughly how many wounds am I expecting them to be able to cause, and to use that to have a rough idea of what damage I can expect to do. Because as I say, I think it's all about when you're deciding your tactics, it's don't adopt a tactic that requires you to be lucky. So what do you expect to happen if your dice roll fairly, if they just roll average? Obviously, sometimes they won't, and sometimes they'll do better than average. But over the game, they'll generally be average, so you know, go with that. But so I went to the club last night, and really nice people there, but not really a big Age of Sigmar crowd. However, what I was quite interested in, There are several people there who want to play Age of Sigmar. And I watched a couple playing 1,000 point against 1,000 point Age of Sigmar. Now, even though I've never played a game before and they've at least played a few, I was able to help out with a lot of the rules because that's all I've been doing for the past few months. Reading through the rules, watching battle reports, watching how people are, reading through the rules, reading through the battle terms. Every month, remember, I said I'm going to get another 2 battle terms. So I've sent off for the 2 battle terms that's going to be my October's read, which is going to be Ideneth Deepkin and Daughters of Cain. There's a reason why. I was actually going to get the Disciples of Sinch because people had told me that it's a very popular army. And I thought, well, I might as well read up on the popular armies as well. Not that I want to make one. But I changed that on a particular reason, which I'll come to. So I watched this game, and I think they're basically both people who are more into the painting side of it. They're very good at painting the models. Not so much in the playing, but I think they're wanting to turn it around. And they seem to be ones who prefer the fantasy as well. So I think maybe what's just needed is a core of players at that club who are into Age of Sigmar to drive it along. So that's my plan. That's my plan to get a real core. But it may take time before we're able to get like the 2,000 point games and things like that. And I know what some people will be asking, what some people have been asking is about battle reports. I don't see it as realistic in the short term, really. And I've said this for a while, unfortunately. I'd absolutely love to. Nothing would please me more because when I watch battle reports on other channels, there's a number of other channels doing them now. Some do them technically better than others, but I look at all of them and I think, just know what the format, it might be just personal. It's not necessarily an objective thing. It could be subjective. But I just look at it and I think the format is not ideal. And there's 2 things, and I know I could do a really good job of them, or I think I could. Soon find. Well, I won't soon find out. But there's 2 key barriers to it. One is the technical side of it. I need, and I'm going to do a bit of more practice and working things out this weekend with some trials. But I need to work out the technical aspects of being able to film it without interfering with the game. Because I've seen like behind the scenes videos of some channels that do it, and it seems to me the way they film it is actually they're only playing these games for the purpose of doing a battle report, which is fine, obviously. But it can be a bit off-putting for the opponent. I just want it to be a natural game that I happen to be able to film all the key action. That is the ideal. Now, that's a challenge that it would take me some time to solve. But then the other problem is you need people with a steady supply of 2,000 point armies to be able to do the battle reports, and realistically, I don't think they could even be done at the club, even if there were such people there, which there don't seem to be, because, you know, there'd be the noise of other games going on, and you really want... So I'm thinking, well, this is why I really need to be able to host them myself. So we need to be able to go for a certain amount of time. First of all, I need to be able to solve those technical problems. Second of all, we all need to persuade each other that they're not axe murderers and maybe get people to come around. And even then, they may not be all that bothered about doing film battle reports. So we'll just have to see. I don't know about those, is what I'm basically saying. But I am hoping to be able to have at least a 1,000 point game next week on Monday. Monday seems to be the day it's open, and I'm totally free as well. Someone may, it's not a promise, but there's someone who might be able to give me a game then. Now, I'll take photos and I'll report back next week if that indeed does happen, but it won't be a proper battle report. But I was watching these two. I sort of, on the one hand, I was only helping out with the rules. I didn't interfere at all with any strategy or decisions they were making. I'm not there to ruin their game. You know, I just helped out with the rules and little things. And so I was quite pleased by the fact I seem to be quite familiar with these. And it was Sylvaneth against Seraphon, the old lizardman. And the Seraphon player is this character. He had a slan, and he had like an old blood on Carnosaur, superbly painted. It's absolutely magnificent. And then a few other bits and pieces. And I was watching this game, and I was thinking to myself, so back in the old days, in fantasy days, the slan was a bit of a beast. They're a beast of a wizard. And I was looking at this, and I'm thinking, that slan's not really doing much. He's hanging back. He's casting like a spell, but he's only casting one spell. I thought, you know, powerful wizards in this game tend to be able to cast two. Can he not cast two? What's going on here? And I thought it was very strange. And so later on, when I got got back home, I was looking up something. I looked at the slant. I thought, this is an absolute beast. It wasn't using half the abilities on it. And I think this is where there's a difficulty of Age of Sigmar. When you're flicking through the battle tome, working out what you want to do at various points, it's not really fixed in your head. And this is why it's so important, I feel, to have a crib sheet. Now, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come up with a 1,000 point Nighthaunt army, which I hadn't really put much thought into. I am definitely putting the black coach in it, though. There's part of me, I mean, some of it writes itself. Oh, I want to take the Knight of Shrouds on Ethereal Steed and the Guardian of Souls. I might even make the Knight of Shrouds a wizard with an artifact, so I've got 2 wizards in. I like my magic. Hex Wraith, take a unit of Hex Wraiths and the unit of Chain Raspord. So that's my 2 battle line for a 1,000 point game. And then I've got 400 points left over, and I'm very likely just to take the black coach and a unit of 8 Glaive Wraith Stalkers. I was thinking about just some more units and not the black coach, but I'm just thinking, do you know what? The black coach. Not only do I, you know, I just want a black coach. I always say of the Nighthaunt army, I think there's no real unit that you look at it and think, oh my god, that's nasty. Ooh. But I think the army as a whole has battle traits that can concern an opponent. I just don't think individual units do. But if there is a unit in the whole of the Nighthaunt list that is going to make someone look at the prospect of getting into combat with it and going, it's probably the black coach, or maybe a buffed unit of Banshees, but I think definitely the black coach. The black coach is in. But then there were some people talking about doing a 1,500 point campaign. I thought, I've arrived at the right time here. Yeah, could definitely go for that. And someone was talking about, so the reason for the Daughters of Cain is someone was talking about taking Marathi, and they were going, is it a bit cheesy? It's a lot of points, 440 points, whatever it is, for a 1,500 point game. Is it too cheesy? Because that was a concern of mine. Back in old Fantasy Battle days, special characters, for most of Fantasy Battle's time, you sort of needed your opponent's permission to take them. Yes, you were paying a lot of points for them, but it didn't mean they were balanced. Because apart from anything else, they came loaded with really powerful magic items and abilities. Now, you could get magic items on a normal character, but they were capped into either how many you could have or how many points you could spend on them, depending on which edition it was. Whereas special characters just would overblow that. They'd use up the budget on that cap and more. So, although, yeah, you were paying the points for them, which might have been a fair number of points, nonetheless, you were exceeding what a normal army would be able to do in terms of the magic items and abilities it was taking. So they were in there, but it was like, have your opponent's permission. So for special games only, you certainly didn't use them in tournaments. But I got the impression, round about the time I was quitting Warhammer, because I was just getting into World of Warcraft, I think they were starting to relax that a bit and suggest that maybe in tournaments you could take them. I can't remember though. I certainly never entered a tournament where you could, but I was thinking that they were going to change that. But when I've been reading Age of Sigmar, I see nothing about that. It just seems to me, and looking at battle reports, it just seems to be a normal thing to take special characters if necessary. They're not called that. I don't even know what they're called. What do you call them? Named characters, unique characters, whatever. I'm just going to call them special characters. That's what it used to be. And people just take them as long as it fits into the matched army and it's all good. They've paid the points and all the rest of it. It's all fine. So then to hear someone talking about, oh, in a friendly game, would you really take that, was interesting, because I'd worried about that myself. I thought, well, is it the sort of thing you do? Because you can see straight away in my 2,000 point army, there are 2 named characters. There's Lady Alinda there, and there's Reikenor the Grimhaler. I thought, well, you know, what's that? But so they were saying to this guy, no, you should just take it. But it was describing how it works, and everyone was like, oh god, this is going to be an absolute beast. But then I thought to myself, well, there's no such thing as an absolute beast, is there? It's easy to focus on what's very dangerous about it, but all you have to do is look at the rules and go, how can I kill it? And all of a sudden you can go, So I looked at the rules of it and I thought, do you know what, a well-placed unit of Banshees could knock that out for like a third of the points cost. So, you know, be interested in that. So I'll be looking forward to that. But in the meantime, I just want to get some games in, because and I think what I'm going to do as well is for next one, because, you know, if we're going to do 1,000 point games for the time being, at least, while people, because not everyone belts out the models like I do. I mean, though 8 Banshees and the 4 Chain Gas, they were all done in one night. What was the last unit I painted? Oh, the heroes. So Lady Alinda, Rykenor the Grimhailer, and the 2 Spirit Torments were all done in like a weekend. It's not all weekend spent painting. I was doing other things as well. So it's like an hour here or there. And they were all done. Like Lady Alinda, like people look at the photo of it and say, oh yeah, you've done all right there. It doesn't stand up to it when you look close. That's the thing. It's quite an easy way to just make it basic. But I have to admit, you know, this is what I always say about our painting. It doesn't stand up to close scrutiny. You don't get your eye really in and have a look at it because it'll scare off good painters. But across a battlefield, they're all right. For a few feet away, I think they look okay. They're all right. So, but yeah, so the next army, I was thinking, well, I don't know. Well, I've sent off a load of stuff anyway because the next army I wanted to do was Nergal. Now, the thing about Nergal, though, is what worries me about doing a 1,000-point army for it is the fact that it's a summoning army. And I always feel, I say always feel, I'm not even playing it, but reading about it for a bit, but I have felt that there's something inherently unfair about using, I mean, maybe you could just not do the summoning part of it, because it feels to me a bit unfair to use a summoning army in a 1,000-point game. Because the issue is this. So with Nergal, first of all, you get a free wood that has bonuses, but whatever. You just plonk that wherever you like. And each turn, at the start of your turn, if you've got any of your models in your own territory, you get 3 what are called contagion points. If you've got any models in your opponent's territory, you get 3 contagion points. It might just be your opponent's territory, but I can't remember. But if there's like in a territory where there are no enemy models as well, you get an extra 1. And for each of these Gnarwoods, which you get 1 free with the game anyway, which is a bit of scenery, which is a plonk down. If there's no enemy models within like 3 inches of it, something like that, you get an extra D3 contagion points. So let's say if you keep something in your own territory and you've got something in your opponent's territory, so after from turn 2 at least, you would say, and you've got your Gnarwood and your opponent's forces aren't near it, because if they don't go near it, they take mortal wounds, so they probably don't really want to go near it. So on average, you're probably talking about, on the first turn, you're probably going to be having about 5 contagion points. Second turn onwards, about 8 contagion points. So that basically means at turn 3, you could summon something quite early on. You only need 7 to summon something. But from turn 3, you could summon something substantial. 21 contagion points will get you 3 plague drones or a unit of 20 plague bearers. Now, and the thing is, there's nothing about the way you're going to accumulate those contagion points that would be any different in a 1,000-point game or a 2,000-point game. But in a 2,000-point game, if I plonk down 20 plague bearers, all right, it's like, well, I've materialised a unit of 20 plague bearers out of thin air. That's not very pleasant. But in a 1,000-point game, well, that's effectively counting for double. That's like, you know, proportionally as the unit, as the army goes, that's a much bigger unit. So it's a bit like, you know, it's no slower for me to accumulate these points in 1,000 point as 2,000 point, but I get the same units for it. It just seems a bit unfair. So I'm not sure. Maybe, as I say, maybe you can just forego the summoning. But then you sort of wonder to yourself, but are you paying a premium in the cost of the army for the fact that you can summon these things? I don't know. And then there's the other downside to it, because what it means is you need to get the models for your army. So in the first instance, 1,000 points. And then you have to also pay for models that you may wish to summon. Not the whole load of them, because that'll cost you a fortune. But maybe you think to yourself, well, depending on the circumstances, I might either want this character, or these plague drones, or these Nurglings, or, you know, the plague bearers. So I don't know. But anyway, I've sent off a fair amount of Nurgle stuff. Not all the stuff I'd want for 1,000 points, but a fair amount. So the next we'll be getting those ready. So maybe in a month's time I can have, or maybe a bit over a month's time. I mean, you know, let's see how it goes. Because I may not be able to paint the Nergal stuff as quickly as the Nighthaunt. The Nighthaunt, I think, were the easiest army just to paint really quickly. Nergal probably won't be too bad, if I'm honest. And it might be a sneaky way to get some Skaven in as well. Because in the Clan Pestilence book, which is a totally useless battle tome for making an army out of. But all the units in it have the Nergal tagline, which means you can put them in a Nergal army as normal units. They're not allies. So I can put a Plague Claw in there, and I was thinking with the larger army of putting a Vermin Lord, you know, whatever. What is it for Clan Pestilence? The Greater Demon Rat, anyway. So, you know, I might be able to get some actual Skaven into it. I wouldn't get any actual proper Skaven into it, because I still say without a proper Skaven battle trait that allows you to double their bravery bonus, it's going to be a bit dicey, because you're always going to lose loads of them. You're going to lose them wholesale. They basically don't have armour. So, you know, battle shock tests are not going to be pleasant unless you've got ridiculously whack-eye bravery. So that's the plan at the moment, in terms of where I'm sort of going with it. I'll be updating, of course, as usual, because, you know, I'm not going to stop just because I've got the 2,000 point army. Each week, I will be aiming to have at least one more unit prepared, where there's still 2 more units of Nighthaunt I want to get done, and then into Nergal units as well. As we get more into winter, it's going to be trickier to find a good day to undercoat, so that's why I want to also be assembling as many as possible, so that when a good day comes on a weekend, I can get out there and spray a load of them, and then I've got a big backlog of painting to do. So, and then each week again, just try and get more people into the Age of Sigmar, getting the armies built up. They won't build them up as quickly as I will, but there may be people I haven't met yet that play Age of Sigmar. That's the thing. So we'll just have to see how it goes. I'll keep you updated. I'll be, you know, doing some Warhammer discussion videos at some point as well. And yes, so thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you've been watching this series so far, here it is. Here is now the culmination. All I need now is to be able to play some games. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share for further content. And until next time, I'll see you later.